Hello, good morning. I'm Dr. Lisa Peavy. Here again to talk and speak with you more about my grave concerns about the shot that is being touted as the one thing that can save us, the only thing that can get us back to normal. I spoke in the video that I put out a couple days ago that, of course, we know that there's other therapies and treatments that completely don't have the side effect, profile. We understand the dosaging. We've been able to effectively treat many thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people, all the way from over-the-counter medications to things that we can prescribe. I mean, it's amazing, as well as even new therapies that have popped up. People have come up with new things. A doctor, like I mentioned, came up with a new type of immunotherapy that's treating it. He's having docs who actually come to him for it because it's working. So we know that there are things that aren't going to cause a whole bunch of side effects that can treat this virus. And so my concern is, why are we touting something that potentially is going to cause a lot of problems? And yesterday I saw the new stats that came out from VAERS, which is the reporting system. It's been estimated, there was a study that was done out of Harvard, I believe, that estimated about 1% of adverse effects are actually reported to that system. I think it's probably more now, just because there's more focus on it because of everything going on with the shot. So I'm going to say around 10%, but please keep in mind that if we're only estimating at 10%, I mean, there's 90% more that we're not. So these are the numbers that came out. Adverse events. So this could be something as simple as like just a sore arm, which a lot of them are. They really are not major side effects, but sore arm for a few days, or just headaches or whatever. But 463,456 adverse events, 30,781 hospitalizations, 9,274 disabled. So what does this mean? Well, if you're disabled, if you have anything that has interfered with your quality of life, your ability to do something that has suddenly changed, maybe it's chronic pain that's keeping you from typing, or maybe you've lost a limb, something like that is a disability. So there are almost 10,000 who are disabled. 3,906 heart attacks, 2,406 myocarditis reactions, which is inflammation around the heart, over 1,000 miscarriages, and 10,991 deaths. So almost 11,000 deaths for a system that we think is way underreported. So if we multiply that by 9, that's almost 100,000 deaths that we're looking at. I mean, absolutely insane in terms of how many from the shot. And again, we have these therapies that actually work. So this is being touted as, the thing that needs to get us there, but yet we now also have a study that came out of Japan that followed people who had received the shot and followed the spike protein, and those levels found very, very high levels in the lungs and the brain, super high levels in the ovaries. We're having women that are having bleeding problems ever since, and I don't know if that's related or not, but it seems suspicious, right? Super high levels in the ovaries, that is very concerning for infertility problems and other issues. As well as your ovaries, especially for hormones. That's where a lot of the hormone comes from. So you can imagine how out of whack your hormones could get if you're having a foreign body deposit in those tissues. And then here recently, there's a doctor in the UK who took several of his patients and started looking at blood samples on microscopy, meaning that he took some of their blood and put a smear of it on a glass slide and looked at it under a microscope. And this tells us a number of things about our red blood cells. It tells us how well we're carrying oxygen. It tells us if we might be anemic. It tells us if the width of the inside is too big or too small. And it can be very discerning in terms of what's going on with us. Well, he discovered that I believe all of his patients who received the shot, I could be wrong about that, but the majority of them had very distinguishable differences between their microscopy slide and someone who hadn't received the shot. In fact, people who'd gotten it, their cells were they looked kind of old. They were aggregated. They were kind of clumped together. They did not look healthy. Even someone who's not specialized could literally look at those two slides and see the differences of them. So how many people does this affect? I really don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not sure, but an easy way to find out if it's impacting you would be to go have your doctor order a peripheral smear. That's the only way for them to look at it. Just ordering a blood panel will not show that. They have to look at it under a microscope. So the other big push for them saying we need to have this vaccination is that they're saying that because this is a new, quote unquote, novel virus, meaning it's never been introduced to the human system before. We've never seen it before. It's completely new. We don't know anything about it. And because it's foreign to us, we haven't had memory of it in our bodies. We're not able to fight it appropriately because it's brand spanking new. Well, this is not actually the case either. And there are a number of things that have proven this, one of which was a study that was done by following those who received the shot, following to see when they started to produce their antibodies. And what was found was that about 4 to 5 days after they received the shot, most of the individuals, 99.9% of them, started producing IgG antibodies. Well, that's interesting because IgG is our memory, our long-term antibodies. And if something was novel, meaning if it was brand spanking new and we had never seen it before, what would actually happen when we are introduced to those proteins that raised our immune system levels is it would produce an IgM within the first 4 to 5 days. The IgG comes about 3 to 4 weeks later if it's the first time you've come in contact with that virus, okay? If it's the first time. Now, if you have memory of it, if you've actually come in contact with it before, if it's a virus that's all, very common, that travels all over the place, which we know about coronaviruses, then you don't have quite the issue and you're going to develop the IgG within the first 4 to 5 days because IgG has already been created before, it already has the memory. Your immune system already knows. So that was very telling. 99.9% of people already have the IgG memory. They don't need the shot, okay? The other part to this that tells us it wasn't a novel coronavirus is that we have patents, 120 patents specifically, that show evidence that we knew the gene sequences before last year, before March of 2020 or whenever it was, right? We have many. In fact, our good infectious disease specialist that everyone says knows everything, but yet we know that he lied in his emails and has done a number of other things that have been shady. He was the one who got one of the patents that lays out specific gene sequencing for the ACE receptor, the ACE binding domain, and the S1 spike protein. Patent number 7279327. Go look it up. Okay. He also, back in 2002, funded research that determined that the coronavirus can actually be used as a vector to distribute the HIV shot. Meaning in 2002, through the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, he figured out how to manipulate the coronavirus and use it as a vector, actually synthetically make it and use it, using the same gene sequences that, again, they say are completely novel and new to the virus. When we can manipulate a virus, it can also be used as a bioweapon, which in 2008, our defense program through Sanofi and several others started studying it as a bioweapon. We have proof of that as well. Okay. In March of 2019, Moderna suddenly decided to go and amend 4 patents that had not been approved and made sure to make reference within them that in case there was a deliberate release of the coronavirus, they would be able to utilize those patents and take them to the next step. This was a year before this novel new virus came out. They amended patents to take care of any deliberate release. Sounds like someone deliberately released it. In November of 2019, Moderna began actually sequencing the spike protein to go inside the nanopeptide 1 month before the actual outbreak. So they began sequencing the actual new novel part that they said nobody knew about. They were making it a month before it actually came out. Again, there's just all these things that point to the fact that whoever is behind development of this does not have our best interests at heart. They do not care. It doesn't seem that there are other things we could be looking at, other medications we should be looking at, and that we are literally asking ourselves and as parents to basically play Russian roulette with our lives and our health. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking to me. I truly just do not understand. You go look at the PCR and everyone's like, oh, these numbers of cases, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you actually go, Kerry Mullis, he's the inventor of PCR. I have videos that I, again, will put in links. Videos of him saying, number one, how much this infectious disease specialist everyone talks about, that he's an idiot and his bottom game is always about money and control. That's number one. But number two, he talks about the fact that a PCR test does not identify any disease because it can really identify every disease. If you have a tiny bit of something, which again, we all do, we all show that we have IgG memory. If you even have one molecule, you can take that little bit of something and make it into a really big of something depending on how you utilize the PCR. You can actually have fraudulent results. The PCR does not diagnose disease. It just doesn't. I'll post those links as well. There's so much with this that's wrong. People are being harmed. If you have been injured, please contact me. If you are feeling bullied, if you're feeling like people are coercing you, please get in touch with me. I have information. I can help. We have groups. This is not going to continue. We can stop this. We can. We've got to write letters to our governors and our politicians and our school boards, because this is about our children, because it's going to filter down into our children. They're already, wanting pregnant women to get vaccinated, which they have never, ever encouraged before we ever had some sort of studies to take a look at it. So again, it feels like this is genocide of sorts. I know that sounds crazy and conspiracy and oh my God, like really? But if you look at all the numbers, what is going on? These don't add up. They don't add up. So I'm here to help and do what I can. If there are those of you out there looking, other physicians, we need more physicians to stand up. I know there's so many of you out there that see and feel that something is wrong. So find me, okay? Have a great day. Namaste.